the voices were so perfect for those characters. And I had the pleasure when I was in high school and had nothing better to do other than track down celebrities. I spoke to them on the phone. Possibly one of the finest 5-minute phone conversations of my life. Hey, Rocky! That wasn't very good, don't quote that. Questions? Hello. Thank you. It was only for a couple of years, but it was my pleasure.
So Pokemon was my childhood.
Thank you.
Anyway, my question is, if Dr.
Oh, wait, I forgot what you have something to play. Can we hit the Jirachi Wishmaker for just a moment, please? Do we still have that? Oh, no, that's the one we removed. I'm wrong, we don't have it. Scratch that. We haven't had any, but find it on YouTube somewhere where it shouldn't be. Please go on, I'm sorry.
Well, my question is, if Dr. Eggshell and Pikachu got into a fight, who do you think would win? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. Eggman, of course, having assorted robots and high-tech devices, but Pikachu being an electric-type Pokemon could very possibly short-circuit everything. So I'm going to say it might actually be Pikachu. Questions? Right. No great ones. Trust me.
If Eggman were to really win against Sonic, what would your reaction be? Would you laugh and you're like Eggman, or would you feel sorry for him?
I'd probably feel sorry for myself because it might be the end of the franchise. Eggman's incompetence is going to keep things moving, so that would be a horrible moment. Guys?
Hi, just asking, how did you involve with this Sonic Hedgehog series in the first place?
Excellent question. It all started with a cassette demo tape at the time, that's how old it was. And I sent one out to a blind box advertisement that said, we're looking for voice actors for a cartoon, didn't know who it was for. It turned out to be a little show called Pokemon. And I got a big part as a no-name grandfather character in one episode. I said, well, that isn't that nice. Now, that'll be nothing. Except it turns out that 4Kids, who was producing Pokemon at the time, were just starting to produce the 4Kids TV box stuff. So about 4 hours of television on Saturday morning, they had to fill that with shows. So they ended up holding auditions for shows like Kirby Right Back At Ya, Ultimate Muscle. And a couple of years later, there was a very secret meeting in the conference room with 4Kids. They gathered us all in, and they said, and we've got this super secret property coming up called Project X. And we're very excited about that. And did you think no idea what that is, right? Project X was in fact Sonic X. And when Sonic X started auditioning, they were extremely interested in having me play Dr. Eggman. Now the decision wasn't up to them, they had to do Sega at the same time. So they brought me and they sent me some samples of Dean Bristol. He said, here, take this home, match it. So this is Dean Bristol, I'm Dean Bristol, Sonic. Did my best Dean Bristol impression, came in for the auditions, and did my He said, great, thanks, we'll let you know. A week or so later, the phone rang. They're still not convinced. Come in, we have more callback. Went back for a callback. Again. One more time, another week passed, more auditions, more callback. Same thing I was doing. That finally convinced me. And you'll notice by the first episode of Sonic X, Dr. Eggman was very deep and just monotone, just down here, Sonic, until we realized that doesn't really work for the comedy. So the direction I got, if anyone remembers, Martin Short's Jiminy Glick character. Oh, starts way up high and then goes way down low. That was the note that I was giving for Dr. Eggman to have his peaks and valleys. So sometimes Dr. Eggman's way up here, then it goes way down here. And that became the last 10 years now. 10 years this 23rd of August. I've been Dr. Eggman. It was the longest audition period I think I've ever been involved with, and I'm glad it worked out.
Hello. I was wondering. Hello.
Oh, yeah. Hi, how are you?
I was wondering, obviously, playing Eggman, it's a huge character and a huge set of games. Do you play games yourself? And in particular, do you play the games you voice in, or is that a bit weird?
I'm not a gamer, but we have children, partially because they can be gamers, but I wasn't entirely reason why we have them. But my lovely son and daughter both play games on my behalf. And driving down the road, I have heard myself coming out of both sides of the back seat in 2 different games. It does get annoying after a while. But when I was a child, we had one of the first Pong games which came out. That's how old I am. I played that for a couple of weeks and then got bored. And video games I never quite had the patience or coordination or general aptitude for them. But in the arcade at the nearby mall, they had an obscure game called Trivia Whiz. Just basically a pub quiz in a box. And I played it so often, and there was such a small pool of questions, that I eventually memorized all the questions and answers, which always came up in the same rotation. And I just topped the leaderboard because I played it so often and memorized all the answers. But beyond that, let people who are better at games play games. I'd rather be in than things. Questions?
Hi Mike. So not many of you know that you also voiced Ella in Sonic X.
That's right, Sonic X.
How did you come up with the voice for being a woman?
There aren't many women's voices that I can do, so that was the first criteria. That was an interesting casting process. I've been doing Doc Ragnar for a couple of episodes, and the producer of the show walked into the studio during the session and said, "Hey, did we find anyone for Ella Renee yet?" "No," said the director. "Let's have Mike try it." "All right then." So I looked at something at Ella, and I essentially did what I thought a Latina woman would sound like if she looked like Ella Renee. And I don't know if that would do anything for her, but there you go. I came back the next week, and I said, "So how's that Ella Renee thing? Did you get an actual woman to do that yet?" "No, we found something else." "Fine." Came back the following week, I found out I had been cast as Ella Renee. So it's basically the falsetto voice that I do, with a bit of a dialect on top of it, and that's Ella Renee. Questions?
My question's kind of got right a little bit, but I was just wondering what's your opinion between female voices in general, being a guy, and about female voices in adult male characters.
Watching Ella's voice watching my voice come out of Ella's body just makes me laugh. And again, I mentioned voices that make me laugh. Ella's is one of those voices that make me laugh. There are people that not only don't realize it's me, but there are a couple of people who didn't realize it's a male person doing that voice. It's a brilliant stunt. I mean, it goes back in the legends of English theater, the importance of being earnest, and Lady Bracknell, traditionally being played by a woman, and in all of Shakespeare with men playing women. So for stunt casting, it's hysterical, especially for me, which this is my normal voice, and having this voice of a woman is also hysterical. Women playing young boys, there are a technical reason for that, and that's women's voices can not only sound like a boy, but they don't age. So if you had a boy playing Ash in Pokemon, after a couple of years, I am Ash from Pokemon! Not going to work. So it's funny to have men playing women, and it's practical for women to play young boys. So gender bending is allowed.